Today is a relatively short lecture on Sonnet 23, opening with an unperfect. Now, this is imperfect in modern English. An unperfect actor on the stage, although most scholars have believed this is a young man or even William Shakespeare personally. Having discovered the source documents used by the poet, I can definitively say it is neither. The primary source documents for Sonnets 20 to 25 is the Zohar of Mantua and Zohar Dash Midrash HaNeelam. Sonnet 23 is from Zohar Dash 25c, with a couple of references from Zohar 190b. In Gematria, the Hebrew numerals 23 give the connotation of immoral, stubborn, muttering, short-tempered, wicked, an idolatrous people, and God's response. Interesting topic. We continue from Sonnet 22 by investigating the passage, "After these things, the word of the Lord came to Abraham in a vision. Fear not, Abraham, I am your shield, and I am the one who will reward you in great abundance." Genesis 15:1, which should give us an indication the imperfect actor is actually Abraham, full of fear of the Lord and fear of other men who could kill him and take his beautiful bride, Sarah. Regarding this portion on Genesis 15:1, we know that nothing occurs unless there is arousal below, because there's an arousal above, meaning there must be some measure of desire on our part for this to occur. For it is written, "Come, my love, let us go out to our fields and spend the night amongst the wildflowers." Song of Songs 7:11. This speaks about the oil from above, from the table of the bread of the presence, first mentioned in Exodus 25:30, where we are to place the bread of the presence on the table to remain before me at all times. Zohar 188b tells us the blessing from God does not settle on an empty table. Always remember that. Does not settle on an empty table. Only when the wife of the prophet Obadiah gave of the last of her oil to make the bread for Elisha, when she was blessed in abundance. It wasn't before that. It was when she gave the last of her oil. She used the little she had, and the miracle of oil only stopped flowing when she ran out of jars. That's 2 Kings 4:6. It is a promise of perpetuality, a promise of blessing, where in the New Testament Jesus also said, "I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never be hungry again." John 6:35. It is when we draw near to him that we receive visions and dreams, for the word of the Lord came to Abraham in a vision, conveying the image into his spirit like a mirror, conveying red and white, a reflection of Shaddai, another name for Adonai or Shekinah. We've heard it many times, El Shaddai, in this case just Shaddai. As an unperfect actor on the stage, receiving a vision of the Almighty, who with his fear is put beside his part, or to put it another way, to be beside oneself. For we know Abram did have fear to behold the countenance of days, another term for the Ancient of Days, God himself. The Lord said to him, "Do not be afraid, Abram, for I will protect you, and your reward will be great." Same passage again. By joining with Shekinah, was it going to create further friction, or, from the sonnet, some fierce thing, or wild thing, replete with too much rage, or teeming with rage, whose strength's abundance weakens his own heart, but desire overwhelms. So I, for fear of trust, forget to say the perfect ceremony of love's rite. It all becomes clear as we examine the portion, perfect ceremony of love's rite, where Abram replied, Adonai, Yud-He Vav-He, or in English, O Sovereign Lord, what good are all the blessings when I don't even have a son? Interesting question. The Hebrew letters, it's described as Elohim as Yud-He Vav-He, and Adonai, which is Aleph, Dalet, Nun, Yod, are the love rite that joined together in the upper worlds and the lower worlds. But it was not the miracle, but it was only the beginning. The Blessed Holy One desires us to gaze upon the mystery of his name. That's why I've left it up on the screen for you. Gaze upon the mystery of his name. Leave your own ideals at the altar. Say, I put that up on the screen too, because it is soiled, impure. Instead, gaze upon Kof, for Shekinah is also referred to as Kof. For the prophets are to say thus, or Kof, speaking the word of Shekinah into being, like his son, as an utterance. As they join the upper and lower worlds, the Son becomes a reality by faith. Wonderful imagery, isn't it? Beautiful. We had no idea what it really meant. Take me with you. Come, let's run. Song of Songs 1:4. The young woman offers. Now, we'll get into these a lot deeper when we get to the Dark Lady Sonnets. But Emilia Bassano is laying out a foundation because, as I've explained many times, the Salve Deus Rex Judaeorum, written by Emilia Bassano, is the code to unlock the sonnets. They come from exactly the same sources, and that's how she's written them on purpose. It's absolutely magnificent. And the last portion of Salve Deus is the crescendo to the sonnets. It's so beautiful. I love it. Now, returning to the sonnet, overcharged with burden of mine own love's might. For how happy we are with the burden or love's powerful grip. Oh, let my books be then the eloquence and the dumb presages or prophecies of my speaking breast, refers to the love rite mentioned already, and the daily Jewish Shema revealed that brings life to the soul. See, the Jewish people use this and speak it every day of their lives. It's magnificent. We don't use it enough in Christianity. And instead of dumb or dubious prophetic utterances from astrological speculations, see, she's trying to say, instead of doing this, let my books, let my Torah, let the Zohar, let the New Testament, let it all come forward. These are the true things we should follow. This is what Emilia is trying to tell us. Rabbi Yitzchak tells us, whoever recites the Shema upon his bed fittingly, his soul ascends, soaring through the land of life. Soaring through the land of life. See, that's a bedtime Shema. In other words, when you go to bed at night. You say the Shema before you go to bed. And your soul ascends at night. And the Lord teaches you Torah and walks you through the land of life. It's magnificent. So what is the Shema? It's a Jewish prayer from the Torah, which I've spoken on many times, beginning with the phrase from Deuteronomy 6:4. And look, I think it's probably best I do actually delve into this. And I'll put it up on the screen, and I'll use directly from one of the oldest codexes of the Torah, from the Aleppo Codex. And it's interesting that it begins with the shin. And if you remember my earlier lectures on shin, that are in the beginning of the Zohar, and this is what the sonnet's about, the shin. So it's absolutely magnificent. You see, the full Shema consists of 3 parts: Deuteronomy 6:4-9, Deuteronomy 11:13-21, and then Numbers 15:37-40. Now, if you're a minister or a priest, if you like, and you're reciting this before bed, it says that you only need to recite the first verse, which is Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Or listen, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. Okay, he might have many names, but he is one. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your might. And these words that I command you today shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently to your children, and you shall speak with them when you sit at home, and when you walk along the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. So that tells us when we've got to teach and when we've got to speak it. And you shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be frontlets between your eyes. And we'll get into that a little bit later in the sonnets. And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. And it shall come to pass, if you surely listen to the commandments. Absolutely beautiful. Now, I didn't continue through to the portion on Numbers. I went to Deuteronomy 11, 13, 21, because that's normally what I recite. I don't continue it on. That's your choice. 60 words are a supernal mystery that are contained in the Shema, are called the 60 mighty warriors that are introduced in the previous sonnet. And they're found in the verse, behold his bed, which is Solomon's. 80 valiant men are about it, of the valiant men of Israel. Song of Songs 3:7, speaking of the 60 mighty warriors of Israel, who had ascended from beneath the throne of glory as are angels of the Lord. The bed of Solomon and his queen are often associated with Shekinah, in this case with her train, and that is as matronita, as the armies of the Lord. Here we see the distinctions between being led by Shekinah for the blessing of Israel, juxtaposed against the being led by Adonai for judgment. Now we must understand the final concept for this chapter relating to the application of the 60 letters, 60 angels, the basket and the gates, for the final verse of the part 1 of the Shema. And you shall write them on your doorposts and on your house and on your gates. Now, every night Christ, the Prince of Countenance, whom we learned in Sonnet 20, controls the sun and is described as a lesser countenance of Yud-He-Vav-He. He raises the letters of Shema recited by souls of the righteous before the altar, and the 60 angels around the throne are there waiting to receive them. Very interesting. That's from the Zohar, and that is from Midrash Anilim, Zohar 25d to 26a. A very special portion. Now, we have a little bit to get through before I can move on to the next portion of the sonnet. Not too much, but we'll get there in a moment. Christ becomes a connection between the upper and lower worlds, rather than the Jewish concept of Metatron. The Messiah in Hebrew is 356. But he is not just any Eloha, or he is Elohim. Now, Eloha is 42 in Hebrew. Jesus Christ being the Messiah, which is 356 less 42 equals 314. Now, Abraham, Lot, and the connection to God, for we know Abraham is 243 plus Lot is 45, and Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh is 314. The connection equals Jesus Christ the Messiah. I'll get to the rest of the sonnet in just a moment. Now, I'd like to bring in the Book of Desire it's a Secrets of Raziel, Book of Desire by Eliezer of Worms. In that, we learn that Metatron, an alternate of Christ, receives our prayers and pours out our complaints before the Lord, and Satan dances amongst the horns of the bulls, meaning he walks a fine line between chaos and order, hoping to influence us. The name Metatron can refer to any of the angels of Metatron. And from memory, there's about, was it 70 or 71, 72? Something like that. I can't remember the top of my head. In this case, the angel Meton is the 22nd angel of Metatron. He is the one who carries the prayers to the basket of God. Now we can understand the verse, "Take me with you, come, let's run." Song of Songs 1:4. For the soul itself cries out to Christ, and one of his angels of countenance, like Meton, responds by ascending with the Shema prayer above. This is where Emilia admits Christ is the one who plead for love and look for recompense, as prophesied by Isaiah in the covenant of the Redeemer, where it reads, "According to their deeds, accordingly he will repay, fury to his adversaries, recompense to his enemies. To the islands he will repay recompense." Isaiah 59 verse 18. More than that tongue, that more hath more expressed, is a reference to Philo on the confusion of tongues, where Philo cites Genesis 19 verse 4, where Lot welcomed angels into his home and dined with them, and the people of Sodom, having entered into a conspiracy against all those holy actions and words which it is customary to call angels. This is Philo writing of an invocation of angels by those holy actions and words, specifically Hebrew words of invocation. So that's what the sonnet's really talking about. "O learn to read what silent love hath writ. To hear with eyes belongs to love's fine wit." Refers to the soul that delights in "Take me with you, come, let's run. The king has brought me into his bedroom." Song of Songs 1:4. "Let the faithful rejoice that he honours them. Let them sing for joy as they lie on their beds, with unity above. Shema Yisrael. Hear, O Israel, with the revolving vision of the eye, symbolizing unity in Hesed, Gevurah, and Tiferet. where Shekinah ascends and joins with them. Why? So that every soul of the righteous ascends to testify of his deeds. For it is written, all the tribes of Israel, the Lord's people, make their pilgrimage here. They come to give thanks to the name of the Lord, Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, as the law requires of Israel. Psalm 122:4. What an incredible sonnet, delving into the Jewish colorbalistic imageries of Emilia Bassano Lanier. Now, I've been pondering whether I should keep going in order of the sonnets, 24, 25, and so on, or whether I should embark on the Dark Lady sonnets after Lek Leka, after Sonnet 25, or maybe go through to Sarah and then go on to the Dark Lady, then return to where I was up to, because I know everyone's been waiting with bated breath to hear what the Dark Lady sonnets are all about. Tell me in the comments, or even drop me an email and tell me what you think. Should I wait to do them or do them early? Finally, I'd like to mention a lovely lady who sent me an email of encouragement a couple of weeks back. I won't mention you by name, but I wanted to thank you. At the time, I was struggling to do the last episode after having several surgeries in a row, but you gave me strength to keep going. I'm now recovered, and I wanted to thank you for listening to God. I needed to hear what you said. You're a true servant of the Lord, and may the Lord bless you and your family abundantly. And to everyone else, thank you all for watching, and bless you all heaps. Amen.